It appears that the Confederates are in a state of panic about the Antiguan revolt. I'm picking up a high number of Confederate transmissions going back and forth between their outposts and their headquarters on Tarsonis. Most of the transmissions are heavily coded, but wait, here's something.
There's a General Duke calling from Alpha Squadron flagship Norad 2. We've crash-landed and are being hit hard by the Zerg. Request immediate backup from anyone receiving this signal. Repeat, this is a Priority 1 distress call.
Zerg? Here? Serves them right. About time they got a taste of what it's like to be in there mixing it up.
Jim, I want you to move in and save that base.
I'm positive I didn't hear that right.
Arcturus, have you lost your mind?
Listen, I know Duke's a cold-hearted bastard, but an entire colony shouldn't have to suffer for that. Besides, a Confederate general could prove to be a powerful ally. This is an opportunity we cannot miss.
I don't like this at all.
I'm not asking you to like it. I'm asking you to do it.
Yes, sir.
Great. Let's get this over with.
Hi everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Starcraft, and this time we're going to try and rescue General Duke, leader of the Confederate Alpha Squadron, who has managed to crash on a colonized world and is now under attack by the Zerg. And the Zerg really... That scourge that hit in the cutscene really did make a mess, didn't it? Well, let's get all this stuff repaired so that we can get our operations up and going, and then we're going to try and rescue Scumbag Duke. It's a little bit harsh, really. Duke's seen as sort of a military genius, or the military genius of the Confederacy, and the reputation might be a little bit overflated.
That ship won't last long against those Zerg.
They'll be alright. They're not going to be, you know, they're not going to seriously be threatened for the moment. I'm just making sure nothing's burning down at this point on this side. Everything's in yellow, so I think we're okay on that front. Just get everything in bunkers and let's just get mining some minerals and get the old economy up and running. They are pretty. They are in a bit of a mess, it has to be said. There's a lot of fire on that battleship, and obviously with the Norad 2 having crash landed, they can't help us in this mission.
Yes, sir. Roger that.
So get these bunkers repaired. I am actually just going to repair them completely, but even if you repair the Norad 2 completely, it will not. It won't fly. So I'm afraid that you are. You're stuck trying to actually rescue it properly. So we're going to take Jim over there and we are going to sort that ship out.
Yes,
Yeah, it is rather broken, isn't it? That's pretty embedded. The thing I'm looking at here is I'm wondering if I can actually just build a block up there. Build a supply depot in that area. Just so I can... sort of block the Zerg from coming down the ramp and let the bunkers do their thing. It's a good job we had a couple of SCVs with us, or I could have actually made it impossible to win. Because the first thing I built was a marine, and I only had 50 minerals to work with there. So, fortunately, we had a couple of SCVs so I can mine. So things went okay.
Checklist protocol initiating. Running level 1 diagnostic. USDA selected. FDIC approved. Checklist completed. SOP.
Okay, so meet the Goliath. That is a human walker. They're basically a big marine, I would say. Cost 100 minerals, 50 gas. Count as a vehicle so they can be repaired. Have machine guns, same as a marine. I think they do twice the damage of a marine attacking. And they also have anti-aircraft rockets, which do quite a big deal of damage. So they're a good unit overall. Goliaths, They're very quick to build as well, which is something that certainly some of the other mech units, it's like siege tanks can be quite slow to build, air units are very slow to build, so you can definitely have a pretty large force of Goliaths fairly quickly. The only thing that sort of hinders it is that they need an armory in order to build them, so they're not, it's not something that you can just flood out really quickly. You have to be a little bit, they are a little bit further down the tech tree, so it still means that your Marines and Firebats, etc. are going to be your default go-to units.
SCV good to go, sir.
Okay, so the SCVs are coming out nice and quickly. What I'm aiming to do on this mission, the goal is to bring Raynor and a couple of dropships to where the Norad 2 is. I believe it's possible to cheese this mission.
SCV good to go, sir.
You basically just build about 5 or 6 dropships, because there's a few Scourges up there which will kill dropships with 2 hits. So you basically build about 5 or 6 dropships and you use a load as cover for
Reporting for duty.
taking Raynor over, and you just run all the way over. And as long as the one with Raynor in it makes it, as long as any other one makes it, that's absolutely fine. So, you know, it's a little bit of a cheese, but I'm intending to go a little bit, I'm doing a little bit of a longer route because I want to take out at least one of the Zerg factions, because that will make things easier for me in the long term.
Your forces are
So
under
okay, we've
attack.
got a decent run on the...
Go ahead, Terran.
Did I lose a Goliath there? It looks like I lost a Goliath there. That's a bit unfortunate. It was a decently sized attack that by the Zerg as well, so... Sort of messed up there losing a Goliath, but I think that I'll still be okay there because I've still got the Marines in bunkers, etc. What I'm going to do with the SCVs over there, I'm going to build a couple of missile turrets just to keep overlords away.
Reporting for duty. Yes, sir.
Let's go here. But yeah, first things sort of first, let's repair the Norad 2, get that up to 700
Base
health.
is under
It just
attack.
buys us a little bit more time when things start coming in. And our defences are solid enough that for the moment the Zerg are not going to pose any sort of problem.
Reporting for duty.
First, actually, what I'm going to do here, I'm actually going to build a second racks, because I want to produce out of 2 barracks. And it will keep things motoring quite nicely, building out of 2 barracks. I usually go 2 racks off one base when I'm playing single player. If you're on multiple bases, you can go 3 or 4 racks and just start cranking units out like you can't believe. Although if you're at that stage of the game, you're probably just producing endgame units at that point. You're more than likely just in like Battlecruiser mode or something like that, unless you have a desperate need for infantry units. So we'll do the 1-0 upgrade here. And keep pumping out dem Marines. Don't know if I've got an armory yet. I don't think I do.
For duty.
Comlink online.
Just patch up my Goliaths
Go ahead,
as well.
Terran.
As you can see, they've got a decent amount of health. I think they've got about 3 times the health of a Marine. So you combine that with vehicle plating that you can get, and the fact that they do more damage. You know, a group of 12 to 20 Goliaths can really start messing things up quite nicely. I've screwed up the placement of my barracks, so I've just decided to replace them a little bit there. Move them around a little bit. I won't be able to do this when I'm playing as Zerg and Protoss, so that will make things a little bit more difficult for me for sure. And this SCV is just going around repairing it. Oh god. Zerglings in base, Zerglings in base. That's what I should do, is just pull my SCVs off here, but instead we're going militant. Going militant, aggro SCVs, get in there, poke those Zerglings. There you go.
Yes, sir. I read you.
That didn't really go as well as I'd have wanted, but I think we will just have to deal with it. I think I've now only got 2 in gas as well, which is probably a bad deal. But we'll replace those SCVs and let's get round to it. As you can see, I'm pulling enough gas anyway, so there's not really need to go any further. Another Zerg attack, but nothing substantial. And I did have to build myself an armory, it looks like. But the goal is going to be to make Goliaths overall here. So research stim, just so what I'm gonna do is I'm basically gonna loop around north and northeast and take out the Zerg base that's there. That'll slow down pretty much all of the attacks. And what it'll also do is it will give me a clear path to do a drop where all those, you'll see them very shortly, there's a ton of turrets up there, sort of anti-air turrets, so what I'm looking to do is do a drop there to try and take all of them out. So just got to do a little bit of, I won't call it micro, but it's a little bit of just precision attacking rather than just going in. Now, unfortunately, as you guys will probably realise, I'm not exactly the best at precision attacking, but hell, you know. Gotta do what you gotta do. So down goes the factory, and that will be producing Goliaths for later on, but of course I've got to go sort of up the tech tree. I also need a starport to start producing dropships. So there's a scan just over the middle. You can see what I mean here. We have Scourges, and because I built missile turrets over on that side, they're actually shooting the Scourges, which is kind of useful. But I built those there simply for the fact that I wanted a way around the... I wanted to be able to stop overlords from coming over and dropping stuff, or if they did, it would cost them. Overlords happen to be very good at doing drops, and because they're detectors as well, cloaking isn't really a great thing against the Zerg. So they fix that kind of in Starcraft 2 by making normal overlords not detectors, because that was, you know, that's one of the things. It's like cloaking's just useless against the Zerg in this for the most part, because there's like their absolutely most basic unit is a detector. So, you know, what are you planning on doing? Now, I could just go armory at this point and start building Goliaths. I think I'd probably prefer that to what I decided to do there and put a starport down. I think armory first is probably a bit better because I can start researching vehicle plating or vehicle weapons, so I can beef up my Goliaths quickly. Whereas this way, I'm investing quite a lot of money into the air power before I can really use it. The starport can really be the final thing that I make. There you can see armory is necessary for me to build Goliaths. But you can see a ton of anti-air there, but if I can get a Goliath or marine drop in there, I should be fine to take those turrets out quite easily. But first thing, I've got a bunch of marines here, and I'm going to take 24 marines and try and stomp the base. Really, I should look at trying to do 36 or somewhere in that region just to make sure, but I think that this is going to be okay overall. We're still not into the stage where we're capable of building sort of super high level expensive units, so my money's always going to stay in this case. Okay, repair that. Put a control tower on that, just in case I decide to build wraiths, which, spoiler alert, I probably will not, because wraiths are not going to be very effective against all those spore colonies. So, and I'm also going to plug this gap back here where those Zerglings snuck through, so I'm going to put a couple of bunkers and stick some marines in them. And meanwhile, I'm going to build more marines, because that's what we pretty much do in this game, just build more marines, more marines. I think in Brood War and in Starcraft 2 it's actually even worse. I'm not sure you can do the whole campaign with it. There are a couple of missions where you probably need to do something else, but the vast majority of Starcraft 2 you can just medic marine. So I think the mission where you have to use Battlecruisers you can't medic marine, but pretty much every other mission you can just medic marine. So I'm building the dropships a little bit early here. As you can see, this is what happens when things get a little bit out of sequence. I think I'm much better off just going straight for Goliaths and doing it that way. I might, at this point, I might still have been underestimating how good Goliaths actually are. There we go, let's put the armory down. And I'm also going to have to research ship plating anyway for the dropships, just in case they get involved in a little bit of a Barney. They can go up to ship armor 4. They start at 1 dropship, so it can go up to armor 4. I don't think it can on this mission though. I think the most you can do is 1, but any little bit helps. Yeah. Spore colonies do 15 damage. Sorry, it is spore colonies, isn't it? Yeah, they do 15 damage. So, did I lose one of my SCVs then? No, still got both of them. Let's patch up the old Goliath again. Ew. Getting gobbed on by those queens. At least they don't have spawn broodling or any other of their like horrifyingly awful abilities.
Additional supply depots required.
Only got supply block for a little bit there, so it wasn't too bad. You know, might be a drinking game for this LP. Every time I get supply block, take a drink. I go for ship plating first. Again, out of order. I should be moving in on Goliaths at this point. I think I've got sort of tunnel vision. My tunnel vision tends to be very much around I want a marine attack to start off with, and then I'll transition. But really I could just go straight for Goliaths here and not really be too bothered about it. There's no reason to have those drop ships. I'm not going to be using them yet. But I've got 1-1 upgrades now, so it's time to bring the time to bring a little bit of noise with my marines. I am surrounding my armory with supply depots because apparently that's the done thing. A few more marines to make things, well, there's very little that actually goes into the early game of Starcraft apart, other than sort of build units and lob. You can do some, so like I'm doing here, instead of trying to just brute force over the middle, I am giving myself a little bit of extra room to work with. But the vast majority of the time it's just build up force and lob it, and that's what makes PvP a lot harder. Because there's a lot of sort of jinking and jockeying for position in those sorts of games. Whereas when you're playing PvE, the computer just has a position set up that you have to break. It's basically just a problem-solving expedition. Okay, so I've now got my 2 units of marines, so let's have a wander, shall we? I'm not expecting these 2 units of marines to just destroy everything they come across, but I'm expecting them to at least be able to do some damage, and that will make things a little bit easier. I'm actually seeing 2 spikes coming out of the ground now, which is worrying, because that means there's 2 sunken colonies. But they both go down at the same time because I told them to attack an area rather than a specific colony. So I did lose a few marines there, but that's to be expected. You're always going to lose marines when taking on sunken colonies.
Your forces are under attack.
But it just makes things a tiny bit easier. Hopefully there won't be too many sunken colonies around. If there are a bucket load, I'll just have to Hydralist playing hide and seek there. If there are too many sunken colonies, I'm just going to have to go back to the drawing board and use Goliaths. Or I'm going to have to use Marines as more of a shock force, where I'll just basically go in with 12 Marines, stim up and try and do as much damage as possible rather than trying to keep them alive. Just literally use them as a damage. Just expand, see if I can expand to a second base. This is another thing that I'm thinking of at this point, is expansion. Got a decent concave here, so I should be okay taking out these Hydras, and that turns out right. They're doing a lot better than I thought they would, but as I said, the other way of using Marines, rather than doing what I'm doing here and trying to increase their survivability by not using stim, is to just basically get 12 or 24 Marines, stim them up and just try and do as much damage as possible with them. Then just do that while you transition into a unit that does more damage.
Your forces are under attack.
So I can certainly see doing that. But it looks like at this point this little paltry Marine task force is going to be more than enough to take out this small Zerg base. Now you will see how later on in the game Marines just... I mean, Marines still go a long way. They still go a long way, absolutely, but they are heavily outclassed by late game units. So once you get to the point where the computer is just given a load of late game units, the effectiveness of Marines does go down. But currently the computer does not have access to like full-on late game units, so therefore there's no need to really do anything but spit out Marines, and Marines will be will easily take on a base like this. The only thing that the computer could build, at least on this, you see there Zerg armor 10, so Marines just do nothing to it. But you can actually see the egg hatched and whatever was in it. I think it was a Zerg when it was in it, it just died immediately. So we've got our room now, anyway. We've got a little bit of breathing room now. I don't have to worry about getting sniped by an accidental spore colony or anything like that. It also means that we won't be getting randomly attacked by the blue Zerg at this point, because they are dead, it looks like, because if they had another hatchery, those drones would be heading towards it. So it looks like they've now lost the ability to replace units, so they are not going to be coming after me at any point soon. So I mean, that's the level 1 at that point anyway, because you're now only fighting against one type of Zerg rather than two. You know, one round of Zerg rather than two. And cool, that looks like we've got that done. Great. I can even expand to here if I really want to. There's a refinery and some crystal deposits, so I would be absolutely fine expanding here should I wish to. But I think an overlord or two went up here, so I'm just going to finish them off. Yeah, apparently I'm not. The overlord's going to run away. Okay, never mind. Might be getting a little bit ambitious doing that, and yeah, I decided to bring my Marines back now. So they've done their job. They've wiped out the vast majority of that Zerg base. And now I'm just going to sort of transition towards Goliaths at this point. Yep, there we go, Goliaths coming down. And yes, I'm queuing, but don't. Never mind that. However, I decide to do a secondary attack, now with 24 Marines, and this is what happens when a secondary attack goes wrong. Because, again, pathfinding screws up a lot of my, screws up a lot of the stuff here. And because my guys are slowed as well, I'm having trouble with the thing, so I decide to stim up and run in. And you actually see how fast the Marines are firing now. They don't, but because of this, they also get one shot by that spore, by that sunken colony. And they're dying a lot quicker as well, but they do inflict pretty big damage on this, on the orange Zerg, as it were, there. And we're going to take out the Hydralisk Den and the Queen's Nest. And we're going to replace our Marines as well. So they've certainly done damage up here. That's something that they have done. Taken out a bunch of units. Don't forget, this is only... Having said that though, it is quite a lot of control of Marines that I'm losing here. So, yeah. I think this battle was probably between even and a loss. And I stimmed up again there to try and take down this... sunken colony, but that wasn't a good idea to try and focus fire there. I should have just done as much damage as possible. So that's something where it can go wrong when you just do a focus fire to try and take something down. What I should have done was just attack the area, because the sunken colony doesn't hit you that hard. It will kill a Marine every time it goes up, but it's not a quick firing thing. And here you go, you can actually see this is where I'm sort of aiming at for a drop. I can drop my Goliaths there and I should be okay. But instead I decided to be a little bit more ambitious, which I'm not too sure I like the idea of being more ambitious with my drops there.
Input coordinates.
Just doing a little bit more setup here before we finally go. I'm going to drop 12 Goliaths and I think 16 Marines, something like that on top of it. But, I mean, I'm perfectly safe at this point because I've damaged the Zerg up at the top, taken out their, I think I took out their Hydralisk den, etc. So, and I've got a place I can expand to if I really want to. So, at this point I could really, if I wanted to, I could build up 200 control of Goliaths and just storm them. But I'm going to try and end it now. Just going to try and do a little bit of precision here. Where I've just got a small task force and they're going to try and snipe up at this spore colony to give me a bit of a way, to give me a way in. You can see you use the sensor scan to see it and then you just shoot at it from below the plateau. And you need to do that a couple of times because the sensor scan does obviously wear off. So. And some of my guys have gone round the corner. And this can happen. When you lose sight of things, but I think I've just about got this one. Yep, there we go. So just that other one on the edge there, and then I should have a ridge I can drop into. I mean, I think I'm being way overcautious about this, to tell you the truth. I should probably just be storming up the ridge at this point, but you know. It's very easy to see what you want, see what you should be doing after the fact, and it's easy to also get confused about what you're doing. It's obviously my spare Goliath or something that didn't work at all because again some of my Marines decided to get rebellious. So I'm just floating the dropships over to use their cone of vision. One of my dropships has got a little bit too close to the spore colony there. But there you go, we should now have a drop zone. It's not that huge, but I should be able to get enough down without losing all my dropships. I've lost one dropship there, hopefully there wasn't too much in it. Get this one out of the way. Yeah, that's taken down those. So this force is big enough. I'm imagining that I probably lost a battalion. Oh, there goes another dropship. Hopefully it was empty. And yeah, the Zerg are no match here. They've not got enough sunken colonies for this to be a problem. Pretty much everything in this area is spore colonies. So let's just motor on in. And I'm a bit upset at this point because it looks like I've lost 4 Goliaths in one of those dropships. It turns out I haven't. One of the dropships is just taking a nap on the other side of the... it's taking a bit of a nap on the other side of the map. And that does have 4 Goliaths in, so... there we go. That is pretty much all the things that are going to get in my way knocked down. And we can now just casually float over and see what General Duke has to say for himself. You know, the great leader of the Confederate military shot down by a scourge.
Forces are under attack.
You know, things don't get much more embarrassing. And there you go. You can see my my dropship with 4 Goliaths didn't. My dropship with 4 Goliaths didn't actually make it to unload its payload, so I'll just drop a few more Goliaths in there and stick Raynor in a dropship and let's get over here. So, bit of a roundabout way to do the mission, but I think overall that went fairly well, and I'm sure this will be a cordial meeting.
You're about the last folks I expected to show up. What's your angle here, Minsk?
Our angle?
I'll give you an angle, you slimy Confederate piece of
Jim, enough. I'll handle this. The Confederacy is falling apart, Duke. Its colonies are in open revolt. The Zerg are rampaging unchecked. What would have happened here today if we hadn't shown up?
Your point?
I'm giving you a choice. You can return to the Confederacy and lose, or you can join us and help save our entire race from being overrun by the Zerg. I don't think it's a difficult decision.
Join forces with you? I'm a general, for God's sake.
A general without an army. I'm offering you a position in my cabinet, not just some backwater post. Don't test my patience, Edmund.
All right, Mengsk. You got a deal.
You've made the right choice, General Duke.
I can't believe you're really gonna trust this snake.
Don't worry, Jim. He's our snake now.
Yep, 100% cordial, and now General Duke has joined us. So, things are looking up, I suppose. Sort of. See you next time, guys.